General Hospital spoilers. Sonny's revenge on Rick. Vows payback for Kristina's anguish and Ava's exoneration. General Hospital, GH, spoilers reveal that Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, will remain confident that he's going to pull off a victory for his client. Rick fully believes Ava Jerome, Maura West, is going to be acquitted. And based on the way things are going in court so far, he's well on his way to delivering a win. We have to take a moment to praise Rick Hurst for the incredible job he's doing in all these courtroom scenes. Hurst is playing the part of a ruthless, determined attorney to perfection, so it's easy to buy Rick's confidence when it comes to emerging victorious. However, we should think for a moment about what might happen if Rick's efforts do result in an acquittal. There could be consequences for Rick, especially after the way he's gone after Kristina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mansi, on the stand. Rick has caused plenty of court anguish for Kristina by spinning everything around on her and trying to get her to admit her own fault in the baby's demise. Of course, Kristina's fall was really just a tragic accident, but Rick's had to play this a certain way to make sure he takes the heat off Ava. The more erratic and hostile Kristina seems, the easier it becomes for Rick to clear Ava's name. Even so, there could be consequences since Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, doesn't tolerate people who cause pain for his children. Sonny already has a contentious history with his half-brother, so this whole court ordeal certainly isn't going to help his relationship with Rick. In fact, it could lead to Sonny pursuing revenge, especially if Rick manages to get Ava exonerated. Rick may celebrate a victory once the verdict comes in, but it could also seal his payback fate and leave him at Sonny's mercy. Sonny has proven what he's capable of when it comes to people who target his kids. The whole situation with Agent John Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington, certainly showed how far Sonny could go. We're not saying Sonny will take things to that level in his Rick revenge, but he could at least leave his half-brother worried about what's brewing. Sonny might deliver some fierce threats at the end of all this and make it clear that he's coming for Rick soon enough. Our GH predictions point to Sonny and Rick's rivalry heating up, so stay tuned to see if that'll mean bad news for Rick. General Hospital spoilers say Rick may have to watch his back if he keeps his promise about Ava's freedom, so stick with us for updates on what the future holds. The Corinthos Coffee Warehouse was quiet in the early morning hours, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within Sonny Corinthos himself. The events of the past week had left him seething, his calm exterior barely masking the inferno of rage bubbling inside. Kristina's anguish over her latest betrayal at the hands of her uncle Rick Lansing had pushed Sonny past his limit. This wasn't just about family anymore. This was personal. Rick Lansing, Sonny's half-brother, had always been a thorn in his side. Despite fleeting moments of reconciliation, Rick's ability to manipulate and betray those closest to him had never truly dissipated. This time, Rick had gone too far. He'd orchestrated a scheme to frame Ava Jerome for a crime she didn't commit, one that had devastating consequences for Kristina. Sonny's daughter had been pulled into Rick's web, used as an unknowing pawn in his vendetta against Ava. The fallout left Kristina heartbroken and questioning her own instincts. Sonny couldn't let that stand. As Sonny paced the dimly lit office, the weight of his next move pressed heavily on him. He'd given Rick too many chances over the years. No more. Max, Sonny barked, his voice sharp. The loyal bodyguard appeared instantly, his stance rigid and ready for orders. "Get me a meeting with Brick and Spinelli," Sonny demanded. "I need every scrap of information they can dig up on Rick's activities. Every deal, every shady associate, every hidden asset. I want him completely exposed." Max nodded, but his expression betrayed concern. "Boss, are you sure? Going after Rick like this, it could blow up." He's slippery, and you know he'll retaliate. Sonny's jaw tightened. Let him try. He doesn't get to mess with my family and walk away unscathed. Across town, Rick Lansing sat smugly in his lavish office, sipping a glass of bourbon as he admired the chaos he created. Framing Eva Jerome had been almost too easy. The evidence he planted, illicit financial transactions and falsified testimonies, had been airtight. Or so he thought. Rick had underestimated Sonny's loyalty to Ava, a surprising development given their history. He also failed to account for Kristina's involvement. Rick had lured Kristina into the scheme by presenting it as a way to help her family. She'd been eager to prove herself, desperate to step out of her father's shadow. But when the truth came out, Kristina was left humiliated and furious at herself for trusting her uncle. Kristina was always too naive, Rick muttered to himself, swirling his drink. He didn't realize just how much trouble he'd brought upon himself until his phone buzzed with a message. We need to talk. Now the sender, Carly Corinthos. Rick smirked. He'd anticipated a reaction from Sonny's ex-wife, but her involvement intrigued him. He poured himself another drink, savoring the idea of outsmarting Carly in their upcoming confrontation. Meanwhile, Ava Jerome was determined to clear her name. After being publicly accused of embezzlement and money laundering, she found herself fighting to protect her reputation and, more importantly, her daughter Avery. The charges against her had caused a media frenzy, and custody of Avery was suddenly at risk. Ava's usual cunning demeanor was replaced by a raw determination to expose the truth. She sought out Sam McCall, knowing the private investigator had a knack for uncovering the impossible. I know it was Rick, Ava said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her eyes. He's the only one who'd go this far to take me down. But I can't prove it, yet. Sam nodded. If Rick's behind this, I'll find the evidence. But we need to move fast. Sonny's already on the warpath. Ava's lips curled into a faint smile. Good. Rick deserves every ounce of Sonny's wrath. At the Metro Court, Carly met Rick in a secluded corner of the restaurant. Her usually fiery demeanor was cold and calculating. You've really outdone yourself this time, Carly said, her tone dripping with disdain. Rick feigned innocence. Carly, if this is about Ava. Cut the crap, she snapped, leaning in closer. You went after Kristina. That was your first mistake. Your second was thinking Sonny would let you get away with it. Rick's smirk faltered for a moment before he regained his composure. Sonny doesn't scare me, and neither do you. Ava's guilty, and you know it. Carly laughed bitterly. Guilty of what? Being smarter than you. You're pathetic, Rick. And when Sonny's done with you, there won't be enough left for me to finish the job. As Carly stormed out, Rick's confidence wavered. For the first time, he realized he might have underestimated the consequences of his actions. Back at the Corinthos estate, Sonny convened with Brick and Spinelli. The two men had compiled an impressive dossier on Rick's activities, including evidence that could implicate him in several illegal dealings. Spinelli, ever the tech genius, had uncovered an encrypted account that Rick had used to funnel money from his schemes. This is it, Sonny said, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous light. We're going to destroy him, financially, legally, and personally. Brick hesitated. Sonny, what about Kristina? She's already struggling with what happened. If we go too far, it might hurt her more. Sonny's expression softened, but only slightly. I'll protect Kristina, no matter what. But Rick doesn't get to walk away from this. Not after what he's done. The next few days were a whirlwind of action. Sonny's team worked tirelessly to dismantle Rick's empire, piece by piece. Spinelli leaked incriminating documents to the authorities, ensuring that Rick's criminal activities were brought to light. Rick coordinated with Ava and Sam to gather additional evidence, strengthening Ava's case and exonerating her in the eyes of the law. As Rick's world crumbled around him, he realized he had no allies left. Even his most loyal associates abandoned him, unwilling to face Sonny's wrath. Desperate, Rick attempted to flee Port Charles, but Sonny was always one step ahead. In a dramatic showdown at the docks, Sonny confronted Rick, his gun drawn. "You thought you could come after my family and walk away." Sonny growled, his voice low and menacing. Rick raised his hands, panic evident in his eyes. "Sonny, wait. We can work this out. We're brothers." "Brothers don't do what you did," Sonny replied coldly. He didn't pull the trigger. Kristina's face flashed in his mind, and he knew she wouldn't want her uncle's blood on his hands. Instead, Sonny delivered a final blow, a call to the police, ensuring Rick would face justice. As Rick was hauled away in handcuffs, Sonny felt a sense of closure. Kristina was safe, Ava's name was cleared, and Rick Lansing was finally out of their lives. But Sonny knew better than to let his guard down. In Port Charles, peace was always fleeting, and another storm was surely on the horizon.